Good morning, everybody. So I have a little break so that I can heal with my foot, and so I'm trying to fill my day with interesting things to do because it is boring sitting on my couch. I'm not really a TV watcher, so that kind of makes it. I did read a bunch of books, and but I'm sort of held captive here. So I promised I would do a Rune Stone reading, show what that's like, and so I'm doing my weekly reading for myself, which I'll share with you. So for those of you who don't know anything about Rune Stones, they go back thousands of years. The Elder Futhark alphabet, which is the one that's most typically used in stone readings today, a lot of that alphabet is lost. So we don't have, we don't really have a whole lot of information about the alphabet itself. So the interpretation of the stones is pretty modern. And so that's a really good cautionary tale about these kinds of tools, right? They are tools. They are things that help you, kind of like a swimmy, like flotation devices in a pool, right? You really need to learn how to swim. But these are different aids that help you to enjoy the pool more, or to enjoy your time there, whatever. So, prayer is your number one tool. That's like your best tool. And then things like cards, oracle or tarot, and stones, tea reading, all those things. They're just ways for you to think about different issues. I don't believe that we can predict the future. And I don't think we should predict the future, even if we could. I don't think we should, because we do have free will, and you can make positive choices at any time to have a better outcome, right? So I also don't know that you can read in your own stones necessarily the motives of other people, which I know they do a lot in tarot. If you're having an argument with somebody, like, and then the cards, the tarot cards say, like, it's about this, and then it's not about that. I think there's some danger in that, because, the best thing to do would be to talk to the person. Although I do think that there's, there's like wise advice, and like, be cautious, like this person may not be the greatest person for you. But again, like, I don't know, like I'm skeptical, right? I'm a skeptic. So, like, why is a skeptic reading runestones? Well, because I like to think about issues, and I like to think about where I should place my energy for the week. And I find that oracle cards and runestones kind of get me there, and then my prayers are much more specific. So that's why I like them. So I have two sets of runestones. I have three, but I can't find one. It's in a backpack somewhere. But I have these black stones. I think I've talked about this before. I have these black stones that are really nice. And then I have lapis lazuli stones, which those are these. I tend to like the blue stones better because they're all the same size. And the black ones are all different sizes. And when you work with your stuff long enough, you kind of get to know your things. And I just happen to know that the largest stone in here is the Hagalaz stone, which is the Chaos stone. So I don't want to like avoid picking it, because I know that's what the stone is. So I often use the black stones with other people, but typically not for myself. And then I use the blue stones because they're all the same size. I've gone and pulled my stones already, and there's different ways that you can read. You can read in this Nom version, which is past, present, future, 3 stones. You can do a 1 stone reading. But when I do my weekly reading, I do the Celtic cross. So that consists of a stone in the middle, and then one to the north, east, south, and west. And your center stone kind of reflects the issue that you're talking about, like whatever sort of your theme is for the week in this particular reading. So when you're going to read, you take the bag, you ask your question, and you want to be broad enough that you can get good information. You don't want to say, like, does he love me? Does he not love me? Because that's a yes or no question. You could ask your spirit guide that, or with your pendulum or something like that. But even still, like, it's a difficult love you how, right? Which I've said before, like, how does he, like, that's a kind of crazy question. So for these kinds of readings, you want to ask things that will give you information to think about, things that you can think about. So my question was, when I was mixing the bag and sort of like meditating and praying over Rune Stones was, what should I focus on this week? Where should I place my energy? I'm in a little weird place because I'm sort of out injured and I can't really do a whole lot, but obviously my mind is as fine as it's going to be, right? So, I'm bored, so how can I make the best of this time where I'm kind of like benched, right? So that's the question I asked, and these are the stones that came up. So the very first stone, which is my center stone, is the Anzus stone. So if you can see that symbol, and this is the communication stone, and it talks about voices, right? So this week, one thing I should work on is using my voice. I don't necessarily know what that means, so that's definitely something I will pray about. But, I'm always looking for ways to develop my abilities to foster divine love and wisdom, right? So that may be more blogging, more writing. I journal a lot, talking about, because I'm stranded on my chair, I've spent a lot of time watching YouTube videos, and there's a lot of garbage out there, and I don't ever want to fall in the trap of having like what I talk about be garbage. Although, there's different opinions. I'm not talking about different opinions based garbage, but like, people who, are like, this is absolutely the truth and this is absolutely what's going to happen. Like, we don't have that ability. God has that ability. I don't have the ability to tell you what's going to happen in your life. I don't have the ability to tell you what's going to happen 5 minutes from now. So this is a stone about wisdom and really like working on all of the components that help a person be wise, right? And so I should focus my time this week on developing my intuition, developing my strengths and wisdom, and being honest about what's ego and what's wisdom, right? Because we can often, as I've seen in these YouTube videos, we often confuse the two, right? So that's the overall theme. So then the surrounding stones kind of give me more information about how I get there. How do I keep developing wisdom as my goal for the week? So I actually keep a notebook with all my personal notes about each stone handy. And it's funny because like on YouTube, like they kind of like just pull the stuff out of their head. And I don't know, like I trust people with notes. When I go to a meeting, I trust people with notes. So the stone in the east position, which is the beginning. So this is sort of the background of the issue. That position is the Kinaz stone. And this literally translates to torch, right? So it's light. So it's a stone about creativity, ancestral knowledge, sort of what I'm getting from it is that like this passion of mine, this spiritual quest that I'm on, and remember, spiritual is different than religious. The spiritual quest has been something in my family for a long time. And I do know that from my mother. My mother was religious and spiritual. It's the stone is sometimes interpreted as like a controlled fire. Like if you have a bonfire in your backyard, you control it. So it's not an out of control fire, but it's a steady burn that's going to create warmth and things like that. And it's a stone about teaching and learning. So that my center stone is about communication, and then this stone is about teaching and learning. I am a professor. I've been a professor for my whole career, and a teacher also within there. I've had great opportunities to teach at places like MIT and Penn State, and LTIC where I tenured, and then Northampton where I am now, and I've been at DeSales for 100 years. That's like part of who I am, and that's strength that I bring to this issue. So when I'm thinking about what I can do personally to be sure that I'm on target for developing my tools for wisdom, I want to rely on, sort of the skills that I have to be a teacher, which is listening and communicating well. I want to listen to my ancestors. I want to think about enlightenment. I want to think about, I want to think about messages that bring hope and light, right? And as a Christian, we see that hope and light in Jesus, right? We see that divine love in Jesus, and in the presence of God in our life, in the presence of Spirit. So how to communicate that without sounding like, Tammy Faye Baker, right? There's always that fine line. Um, and I've one of the things I've been reading, and there's a lot of debate. So here again is where I'd probably get kicked out of a church. The Gospel of Thomas, which talked a lot about the work of Jesus. Fascinating stuff. Fascinating stuff. And like Jesus was a legit dude who like helped people, and the church has assigned a lot of garbage to faith and to belief. And when you really look at like the work of Jesus, he was a humanitarian. So anyway, rabbit hole, but this is about using those skills of teaching and learning and creativity and passion. And so then we look at the bottom stone, the southern stone, and these are just like things that I want to be careful of as I approach my issue. So like this is the past, and this is sort of like, just like, either a strength that I have or a weakness that I have, but something I definitely want to pay attention to as I'm developing my strengths and gifts when it comes to wisdom. And this, let me find the right page. I have like terrible handwriting, so finding my notes is like crazy. So this is Lagos, and the literal translation is water, right? So water, my ASL friends, and so it's an invitation, emotions, flow, dreams, hopes, and fears. So what this stone is telling me is that I just need to, one of the things that I struggle with really is balancing this very, very traditional conservative Christianity that I grew up with sort of the spiritual beliefs that I'm believing in and knowing are true, right? So, it's always a balance between, and also I don't want to go down the rabbit hole. I'm watching these YouTube videos, right? Because I'm stuck on the couch. And it just like people put so much stock into the occult, or really into anything. It could be anything. It could be like, tea leaf reading or whatever, right? They put so much stock in it that they forget their own intuition. And I'm not judging them because I don't want to judge others, but for myself, like I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I don't want to be a person who's like, oh, what could I, like, can I do that? Should I consult my stones? Like, I do like try to connect with my spirit about big decisions and things like that. I try to think carefully through a situation, but I don't want to be one of those people who's like becomes unable to move because I'm so worried about whether Scorpio and Venus isn't rising and all that. I don't even understand that stuff, to be honest. I don't understand anything about astrology or numerology. People keep telling me to look for 1111. I have no idea why. So I just don't want to go down for myself. No judgment for other people, but for myself, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. And what this stone is saying is that I want to focus on my own intuition. Like I have good intuition, but not to let fear and judgment or ego influence how I'm approaching this issue. I want to like carefully consider like points of view that I'm not familiar with. Like, for example, if you watch my crystal video, I want to consider all sort of angles and then take from those angles the things that I think are divinely inspired. So, as I'm working on the path, we have this stone. So as I'm moving forward, this is sort of like the sort of direction that I'm going in. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. And this is the Wunjo stone, which means joy. So this whole journey this week is going to be joyful. I mean, I'm kind of stuck, right? I'm like, and if you know me in real life, you know that I am busy and I am active and I don't sit still. It's not one of my strong points. I don't like to sit still. I like to fill my lives. And people say like, why do you have ants in your pants? Are you trying to like fill voids? I'm not. I love my mother very much. God rest her soul. But she spent most of her adult life sitting on a couch watching TV. I do not want to be that person. I want to, you only get one pass around the sun. So I want to make sure that I'm spending my time doing things that are edifying and bring joy. So like that, this is a story literally that translates to joy, harmony, shared ideals and things like that. So this week will be a joyful week, even though I'm going to be like, sometimes a bad thing like having surgery can be a good thing, because it really did it slowed me down completely, right? Like if God was going to slow me down, this was the way to do it. Literally get me to stop walking. So I have some time to embrace new ideas and do reflections and consider all kinds of approaches and options and things like that. So that's a really good sign. And sort of like, finally the directions that I'm heading on, sort of the course I am now. And this is like the trickiest stone, because it's not predicting the future. It's just saying like, overall, this is the direction, the week is going. This is, sort of, what you can expect, on a trajectory that you're at, but not really predicting the future. I don't know how to explain the difference between that. But, it's not saying this is absolutely, absolutely what's going to happen, right? Like, this isn't a stone that's like, oh, you're going to get pregnant in 2 days, because I don't have a uterus and that wouldn't happen, right? Like it's not that kind of prediction. It's more like, on the path that you're at, considering all these different things that are in the stones, this is what you can expect, if you follow this advice, or if you think about the issue. So this is the Jira stone, which is one of my favorite stones, and this is literally translates to year. So this is talking about a cycle. So this spiritual journey that I'm on to develop wisdom is not going to be tied to just this week. This is going to be, this is going to be the journey of my life for wisdom and divine love, and that it goes through cycles, right? Right now, I have a lot of time to devote to it, so I have a lot of passion involved in it, but eventually my heel is going to get better, and I'm going to go hiking, and I shouldn't, put this on a burner to the side. I should make sure that I keep, keep focused on always, like, trying to discern how to be a light in this world, and how to, exude wisdom for myself, and if others see that light through me. But this is, this is a 12-month thing, right? The number 12 is associated. And like, I don't do numerology, but this stone is like, this isn't just for this week, BRG. This is for always. You have time to focus now. And so you have a really good opportunity to get a strong foundation this week with different prayers. I've been doing the St. Augustine prayer book, which does a self-examination, which I think is absolutely brilliant, which I will put in the comments. It is a religious text, so take the religious parts the way you want, but it does do a great self-examination. So take this time that you have to use all the different tools that you have, so that when you get busy again, you know right where to go, right which cabinet you want to get your cups from. So overall, I think this is a really good reading. Overall, I think that my job this week is to study, meditate, learn. I've been trying to remove, I don't know what you call them, like personal restrictions. Like if I'm upset with a friend, or if I'm upset with, my kids or whatever, I'm trying not to let those sort of things permeate. I don't want them to be complete stingers all the time, right? And I've worked on that for a long, long time in my life. But I don't want my spiritual journey to be about a person, right? Other than my own soul's journey. So, when you go on YouTube, there's always like, is he your soulmate? Is he the right one? Is he waiting for you? I don't know who he is, but I'm guessing not. I'm guessing there's nobody waiting outside my door. So, so I think we can go down rabbit holes of things that aren't edifying, right? That are very self-absorbed, and no judgment, but that's not how I want to approach the stones. It's not how I want to approach wisdom and divine love. I want to think about what brings the greatest good to all involved. And so this is a good reading for the week. I'm going to take a picture of it now. I'm going to journal about it now, so that I kind of keep it in my mind, and then I can look back at it through the week. So that's a runestone reading with BRG. I hope you are well, and I wish you all the best in divine light and love. Be well.